So it seems that presence sensors are the new toy in home automation. So I've gone and bought one myself. It's at the back of the room here, and we're going to take a look at that today. Hey everyone, and welcome to a new video on Bite of Geek. So today I'm going to be diving into this presence sensor. This is something I bought myself. I saw a post a number of months ago now on a Facebook group for home automation. Basically the person was, they'd started up this little company and they were producing these presence sensors, and obviously they were trying to gain some traction on and some interest in the product really. And this was at the same kind of time, I guess, as the Aqara second generation presence sensor had been released. Out of stock everywhere, really still quite expensive for what that unit is. Very different products, I will say, but I wanted to kind of like dip my toes into using presence sensors. I didn't really need all of the functionality that the Aqara presence sensor was offering. So the name of the company behind this presence sensor, not something I'd ever gone and heard of before. It was a company called Skreek, SCREEK. No idea what it stands for, if it stands for something, but basically it sounded almost like a one-man band type of thing. Somebody was putting together some parts and was selling it, and they were trying to make something of a brand really. It was being sold on the eBay store, which is fine, I guess. They seem to have already had a good couple of hundred orders for it at the time when I placed my order. So obviously, they'd already got a bit of interest in the product. Now, for me, they didn't have a UK store for it, so this was being shipped from China. So it took a couple of weeks to arrive. But when it did, it was basically just, the actual sensor itself and a short USB-C cable, and it's like a little leaflet as well. So all the instructions for this, as far as I could tell, seem to be on the eBay listing itself. I've subsequently found out, they've actually got a website which has got a lot more info on it, which seems to be building up quite nicely, in terms of the detail behind this product, which is really quite useful, if you'd like to know a bit more information. So what we're going to do now, I'm just going to show you actually what's inside this, because it is quite a small item, and I do actually think it's quite well designed. As I say, I bought this myself. I think I paid around about £25, something like that. So they're not, this company isn't sponsoring this video or anything like that. They haven't provided me this. This was a bit of a shot in the dark. So let's just take a look at the unit itself. So this is the Skreek presence sensor, as you can see by the logo that's on the top of the case there. It is very much a 3D printed case, but not poorly done. The kind of like the back is kind of like a little bit textured, but the rest of it is actually quite smooth. It doesn't feel like a cheap printed case. You've got USB-C port just on one end, which is sideways on, so something to bear in mind. Just in terms of size, so I've got this is a SD card, so you can see it is really quite small. It is not a large unit at all. I think they've done quite a good job in designing this. There's no screws or anything like that to hold the cover in place. I'm just going to pop the back off here. It literally just it just clips off like that, and then on the inside, hopefully you can see that the camera picks this up. If I just get it into focus, so you can see there is the S2 Mini in here, so it's it's not screwed down or anything like that. So I can just pop that out and carefully take it out. We'll just have a look at the rest of the case in a second. So as you can see, it is well designed on the inside. They've got little standoffs for the case. They've got the you know, a standoff there for the USB port as well. Yeah, I think it's really well designed case for that. As I say, so you've got the S2 Mini here. You can get these on AliExpress. I'll mention that shortly. And then on the flip side of it, you've got the presence sensor. So just get that into shot for you guys. Really tiny thing, a lot smaller than what I thought it was going to be. Certainly, when you look at these kinds of things on the listings, they do look quite large, but actually it is really small. You can see the kind of the USB-C port there in comparison, but that is just plugged in onto the board there, and it just sits there. It is slightly angled up a little bit, but I think that's just so it stays clear of any kind of interference off the USB-C port. So really neat. It's kind of like the minimum you're going to need on this, and so I'm going to pop this back inside the case so that we can have a look at this in action. So just make sure it all aligns on the USB-C port, and then the cover just goes back on, it does only go only goes one way, and get it around the right way. It just goes on with the notched end just there, the other way around, and that is the Screek presence sensor. So that's what the actual unit looks like itself. You could actually make this kind of thing yourself, really. It is quite straightforward from a component perspective. So as you saw, there were kind of like two little boards there inside the case. The ESP32 S2 Mini, you can get that on AliExpress, probably for kind of like most of them are around a couple of £1 mark, and then the millimeter wave sensor anywhere around about the £5 mark. So add on your little mini USB cable. So for kind of like less than £10, you can get kind of like the core components of that. Obviously, you don't get that nice case that comes with it, which is, as you saw in the internal shots there, it is quite nicely laid out and printed. You could go and print something yourself if you've got a 3D printer, or you could go and get some other kind of enclosure that might cost you a few pounds as well. If you couldn't stretch to the £25, then you could probably create something yourself for a little bit less. But obviously, this comes all as one unit. It's all ready to go out the box, and it's already pre-flashed, and you don't need to do any messing around. So to get this up and running in Home Assistant, what you're going to have to do is go into your integrations and set up ESP Home. A relatively straightforward process. Once you've got that up and running, you will have one device available for it. Because it's got this millimeter wave sensor, it's got Bluetooth on it as a detection as well. So you will have that device show up. So you probably just want to configure that as well, and then you've got these showing up in your integrations. So what I will say is that when I bought it, there's been a new firmware update, and if you go to the website for this product now, I'll put a link down below so that you've got the details of that. You can actually download the firmware for it, so it's an over-the-air firmware update. You'll also see that they are working on a new version of the sensor as well. So this is one which is going to pick up multiple presence detection within an area. So something that is very similar to the Aqara presence detector. So when that one becomes available, I'll try and get hold of one of those as well, so we can give that a bit of a try. I know there are other products available on AliExpress, for example, that are already doing that. So it was only a matter of time before cheaper alternatives to the Aqara product were going to come onto the market, really. But in terms of this one, so in terms of the sensors that you've got on this, you've got all the standard stuff on there. You know, you kind of like your distance and whether there's movement, and you know whether presence is detected as well. You've got this sunlight value there as well. You've got basically the ability to, you know, disable the sensors on it. You can reboot it. You can do all of that from Home Assistant. So, you know, there's plenty of options in there. I've seen some sensors on the market where you basically, you know, you've only got one sensor available for it. So great if you just want to kind of like a on-off, yes/no kind of situation. Keeps it really simple. But if you want anything a little bit more than that, you probably want something that's got quite a few of the sensors available on it. So the millimeter wave sensor in this is the HLK 2410C. The kind of like specs on this say that it's between 5-6 meters for detection at a 60-degree angle, which is fine. You know, it's in my use of it, I think you probably want this more center on rather than kind of like stuck in a corner or something like that. You'll see some footage of that in a second, of kind of like what the detection's like. But you know, I'm using it in just the corner of this room in combination with the PIR, so it works fine all the time for me. You know, but obviously it very much depends upon your environment. As I say, you know, you want to update that firmware, do that as soon as you can. You know, what you might end up with, something to just be mindful of, you may end up with duplicate entities in Home Assistant, so you'll need to go and remove those if they are a problem for you. So one of the other nice things about this is you can actually navigate to the device itself in a browser. It's got its own IP address that you can see kind of like all this sensor data. You can actually see the real-time information flowing up the screen as well as what it's actually detecting there. You know, really useful for kind of seeing, you know, debugging as it were, you know, making sure everything's okay. So how can you use this? Well, as I say, you know, I've got mine in combination with the PIR. So the PIR was £13, that was £25, that was delivered. So for less than £40, you know, I've got something which you know, in this particular room, you know, has basically, it sorts out all the lights and things like that. Obviously I can build upon that a little bit more and use it for other types of things. It's not multi-person, so you know, that's fine in here. I don't need it to be, but if you were using it in, say, you know, a living room space or a big kitchen space or something like that, you may want multi-person, so you may want to look out for the new, I think it's the 2U, which is a new presence sensor when that becomes available. So in use, well, you know, I find it's really rather rapid in picking me up. You know, obviously the 60-degree angle plays a factor here. So you know, when I've tried it out in kind of like the kitchen diner area, I've had it more of a central location and it works absolutely brilliantly down there. What I will say is, because it's powered, and it's got to be, because you know you can't put a battery on this because it'll just chew through it in hours, never mind days. It's just you know, in an open space like that, is just kind of how I'm going to mount this. I still haven't quite worked out something that looks half decent. You know, trying to find like a really short USB cable that looks at least tidy at the plug socket. It's fine when it's over there. That's actually running off the back of my Synology NAS. It's plugged into the USB port there. So I guess if you've got USB ports on your sockets, your power outlets, then this will be relatively neat from that perspective. So there you go. That is the Screek 1U presence sensor. Would I recommend this? Absolutely. I think, you know, it is a pretty decent little presence sensor. It's been flawless in use. I've had no problems with it at all. Just sits there and just works. You know, yes, I could probably buy it a bit cheaper off AliExpress from, you know, an equivalent product from one of the big companies or something like that. But then I'm not really supporting a maker, and it's not that much more expensive. Certainly, you know, when I look at their eBay listing, they've sold an awful lot more from when I originally purchased it. You know, and if you are after a multi-person presence detector, then certainly, you know, you could check out the to use Sensor. I'll put a link to, as I say, to their website down below in the description. But what do you guys think? You know, a little product like this from an independent maker. You know, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you've got any questions about this, you know, about its functionality, or you know, what it might be capable of, again, drop them down below in the comments. I'll try and answer them for you. But if you've enjoyed this video, then don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.